We don't want any disturbances here. This is the City of Tyler Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for January the 5th, 2021. We'll learn how to say that. Zach, would you call a roll, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Hudson?
Here.
Commissioner Phoenix? Commissioner Reed?
Here.
Commissioner Whitney?
Here.
Commissioner Swain?
Here.
Commissioner Landis? And Commissioner Nichols?
Here.
All right, looks like there's a quorum of 5 present. Anybody online, Zach, or is it just those present?
It's just those present, yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. The Planning and Zoning Commission makes recommendations to the City Council. Any item approved today will be heard by the City Council at its regular meeting on Wednesday, January 27th, 2021, commencing at 9 a.m. If you received a notice for this meeting, you've also received a notice for the City Council meeting. Subdivision plats are approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission solely unless there is a request for a waiver of escrow fees or construction. Only the City Council makes financial decisions. If any item is denied, the applicant has 10 calendar days to file a written appeal with the Planning Department. The appeal will then be acted upon by the City Council. If you're here to speak for or against an item and that item is called for review, you may call 903-363-0651 if you're online, or and you will be placed on hold until that item is open for comments. When speaking, please state your name and address for the record. Comments should be limited to 5 minutes or less, although extensions of time may be granted by the chair upon request. The next work session will be held directly after the conclusion of this meeting and is open to the public. It will also be held on Microsoft Teams. The first item on our agenda is the consideration of minutes from the Commission teleconference meeting of December the 1st, 2020. Commissioners had an opportunity to review those. And someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Reed, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from December 1st, 2020.
Motion's been made and seconded. Mrs. Whitney?
Second.
Motion's been seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those minutes are approved. The first zoning item on our agenda, Kyle, is the Unified Development Code 20-year city limit authorization. Would you
Yes, sir.
Discuss that for us?
Yes, good afternoon and Happy New Year. We actually do have Commissioner John Landis online, so he has entered the meeting.
John, I'm glad you're here, wherever.
So this request is a request that we have every year. It is a request that the Planning Commission consider making an uncontestable finding that all territory included within the city of Tyler since December 31st, 2000 is part of the city. The Texas Local Government Code allows cities to adopt an ordinance declaring that areas that have been part of the city for 20 years to be declared as part of the city subject to certain conditions. This benefit precludes any contest by any party following adoption of an ordinance based on the 20-year annexation map. It is requested that the plan, here's the map before you that does show the current city limits and in blue, and then the city limits from the year 2000. And with that, staff recommends approval of the ordinance, making an uncontestable finding that all territory included within the city of Tyler since December 31st, 2000 is part of the city.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Our commission's attorney is Mr. Keene is here, and this is something we ordinarily adopt on an annual basis. Is that correct? To memorialize what the city limits are for legal purposes. Is that correct? I say that correctly.
Yes, sir.
All right. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak on this item? Is there anyone on the line, Zach, who wishes to speak?
No, sir.
Is there a commissioner who would like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve ZA 20-001.
Commissioner Swaim, second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this zoning item ZA 20-001. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Items approved. All right, Kyle, the next zoning item is Z 20-056, Custom Black Stallion Homes, 716 Britton Avenue. Kyle?
This is a zone change request from R1A Single Family to R1B Single Family Residential District. The purpose of the request is to allow for a single family home to be built on the property. The property is currently too small for the existing zoning, and therefore, to be able to get a final plat to build on the property, the zone change is requested to allow the lot to be at least 6,000 square feet. All the surrounding properties are R1A single-family residential and are generally undeveloped. The request is consistent with the future land use guide, identifying the property as single-family, medium, low density. The applicant plans to build a 1,600 square foot detached home on the structure on the property, and that will help achieve the north end goal of adding 3,000 more rooftops to the north end. Of the notices sent, 0 were returned in favor or in opposition to the request, and staff recommends approval of the zone change from R1A to R1B.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Any questions for city staff? If not, are there persons here who wish to speak on this item for or against? I don't have a card from anybody. Anybody here wish to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Nichols, make a motion to approve item Z 20-056.
Commissioner Reed, second.
Our motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any discussion? Zach, anybody on the line?
No, sir.
All right, if there's no discussion, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. Next is Z 20-054, Nguyen Dong Van, 1501 Easy Street. Kyle?
This is a zone change request for a portion of 1501 Easy Street. The applicant's requesting to rezone this portion from R1A Single Family to RPO Restricted Professional Office District to allow for an office building. The properties to the north are zone RPO and R1A. The RPO is currently a insurance company. And then the R1A home or properties are currently developed with single-family homes. The property to the south is Zone AR Adaptive Reuse District and is the location of a chiropractor office. To the east is Institutional District, TK Gorman High School. And then to the west are R1A single-family residential and are developed with single-family homes. This request would amend the future land use guide from single-family medium low density to office. The applicant plans to subdivide the property into 2 lots and utilize the eastern portion of the lot for an office building. Loop 323 is a TxDOT facility, and the required driveway spacing per TxDOT is 360 feet. There is not adequate spacing to allow for a new driveway on Loop 323 to serve this development. Also, the TxDOT standard is to require that access, if there's a secondary street access, to receive it from that street, and therefore a driveway to Loop 323 would be prohibited for this property per their standard. Since 1983, several properties in this area have been rezoned from residential to allow for some office uses. Generally, that's been restricted to properties that only have access to the loop and not to the internal streets or any of the corner lots. These properties are required to be accessed by the street of the lowest classification, which, like I said, TxDOT would require the driveway access for this office, or if this were to be rezoned for this office to be off of Easy Street. In 2014, the rezoning request of the subject property from R1A to RPO was denied by the Planning Commission. And the concerns at that time were the same concerns today, that the inability to have a driveway off of the loop would introduce commercial traffic into this neighborhood. And so at that time in 2014, the Planning Commission also denied this request. Staff has performed a technical review. Or actually, we did receive one notice in favor of the request, two in opposition, with a protest calculation of 8.62%. The concern from the neighbors was the utilization of Easy Street as commercial for commercial use. And so it's a similar concern that the neighbors had back in 2014. Staff has performed a technical review of the request. It finds that it is inconsistent with the approval criteria, and therefore staff recommends denial of the zone change from R1A to RPO.
All right, Kyle, thank you very much. Any questions for city staff?
Kyle, Commissioner Reed, I have a question. Can you go back to the aerial real quick? So the property, I guess, to the east,
Right.
It looks like that there is a driveway on the loop and then also a driveway on Easy.
That's
And
right.
so how was that one able to be achieved? Is it just some kind of legal non-conforming?
I believe that's the case.
Issue here?
That property was, it's a house. There's a house on the property.
Sure.
And it's been converted. And when it was rezoned to RPO, it had two driveways at that time too. So I'm not
Okay,
sure
so
if because it was
grandfathered.
residential that for some reason they were able to have that. And it might have been a long time ago that, they had two driveways.
Okay. Because this would, just from looking at the aerial, this would be similar
Right.
to what's across the street, and so I just needed some clarity.
Sure, and
on that.
and we do have our traffic engineer on the line here on Teams, if there's any questions for him, but we've confirmed with TxDOT as well that the current standard today would require that the driveway be on Easy Street, so.
Okay. Can you expand a little bit more on the detail of separating it into two lots? What the intent was there, or maybe the developer is here to talk about that, but is there any other?
Yeah, the applicant is here, and they can discuss some of the further details, but they plan to keep the house. There's a
Okay.
current house on the rest of it, and they plan to keep that, and then separate the rest for the office. The land that's being partitioned off there is, for an office use, it's probably it's kind of awkward there, the way it's configured, or configured. It'd be a small building, and that's pretty much all that can fit on there, then the rest would probably be for the required parking, off-street parking.
Thanks.
Yeah, Colin, that was my question. I mean, it's a very small lot. I know we're concerned about commercial traffic, but it's not like we're gonna have a large structure there.
Right.
We're talking, has there been discussed, we're talking, it's gonna be very small. Have they talked about that? And, we're
Well,
talking.
the applicant they do have a surveyor, and maybe they've discussed kind of the minimum or the maximum building they can build. So, if they want to come up and discuss that, they can, but, the building would be pretty small, and then they'd have to figure out how to get access to the parking area. Either side, one side would probably be the building, one side would be the parking, so.
I would like to hear their plans if they could share it.
We do have a card from the applicant, Kelly.
Yes.
Would you come forward and state your name and address for the record, please?
Good afternoon. I go by Kelly, but my name is Digolan Sidoan, and we have bought that house from Donna, and what I've been looking at that lot for 20 years since I came to Tyler. I love Tyler. And passing that house every single day in 20 years, I wasn't very pleasant with the rotten, run-down fence that's sticking out to the Loop 323 across from TK Gorman and the church. And so when I fortunately that got that house, I was concerning about the beauty of Tyler, because we have such a natural beauty. And my plan is try to use all the frontage of the loop as commercials. So when I first came, I knocked off the fence that give a nice view to the doctor office next door with Cornet Joe Chiropractor across from TK Gorman. So it's appealed to me. There's a big lot. When I went to a surveyor, he reserved 6,000 square footage for the house sitting in the back where the white spot is, and the green area is the Loop 323 frontage next to the doctor office, and on the other side is Standard Insurance. And I thought to myself, I said, it would be a nice place to put a business building across from the church and reserve all the frontage of the loop to make it as beautiful. And we can put plants behind the joint line of the residence to the easy street and make the parking lot to the frontage of the Loop 323 and have access come from the easy street across from Standard Insurance, because Standard Insurance have an access from easy street on the side. So if we can have an entrance on easy street, which allow people to come in and pulling into the office. And we have roughly about 10,500 square footage for the RPO if we are allowed to be so. And that will make into a nice area across from the church and appealing to the loop that we have a nice piece of property that joining doctor office and the office and then Standard Insurance. So 3 businesses gonna be like next to each other and bring the beauty appealing across from the church and the school. So our intention is to put the fence around the 6,000 square footage for the residential where it's already there, and then keep 10,500 square footage for an office building right next to the doctor office and Standard Insurance. And so that will bring a nicer look to the area. Because I don't like the back house sticking out to the easy street and people passing by and see like all the stuff that belong to the residential. So if we are allowed to build a business, not a business, an office there, we will put the fence to block off the house, the back of the house, so it's not appealing to the loop with people passing by and see all that rough in the back. And all they will see is a parking lot and then an office building around 1,400 square footage. That's what we were allowed to build on that lot. So I'm hoping that we can turn that little lot, 10,000 square footage, into an office building and have more appealing to the city, and reserve that for commercial use since our city is growing. And so I thought that, you know, something should be done. I don't like the fact that the back of the house is sticking out to the frontage.
Mm-hmm.
And we can use as much land as we can for businesses and offices. That's my intention.
All right, well, we thank you for your time and presence. Any questions for this witness?
Ms. Kelly, so the lot is just one large lot, one large residential lot,
Yes,
and you're dividing it into 2, one for the house and then the remainder for commercial uses.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Okay.
And
What kind of office? Do you have any architectural drawings, or what kind of office do you plan on placing there?
we have talked to the surveyor, and we have talked to the city, and we are allowed to build 1,400 square footage office building.
Okay,
And that will just be strictly of professional office.
professional offices.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so that will be joining standard insurance,
mhm,
and the other side is doctor office, and here's another office. That will be having the parking lot, that you see the green area, the parking lot right there next to the doctor office, and the
Yes.
building is gonna be right next to standard insurance.
okay,
And the house would be hidden in the back with tree.
sure, sure.
Yeah.
So this would be speculative office? So
Yeah.
you don't have a plan or a tenant
We plan to build offices.
offices?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just to make sure I'm clear, the actual building, the 1,400 square foot building is gonna be right behind the house and
No,
next? It's
no,
gonna
one
be on the
behind the
corner?
house. Okay, so the house, as you see on the map there, the house is where the black roof
Yeah.
next to the white roof in the back on Easy Street.
Uh-huh.
But the front is where all the green areas adjoining to the doctor office and his parking lot on the left as we look into. And then the house will be by the pine tree. There's big 4 pine tree right frontage road up Loop 323. So the house is going to be in the frontage joining standard insurance and then the office and then doctor office. They all 3 in the line. The house is sticking to the back with the neighborhood with the white roof. It's going to be on Easy Street. So that house is 6,000 square footed in the back neighborhood. But the frontage is all the frontage going to be the parking lot and the house and the office.
Is
So
the
the-
building gonna be on the east side, closer to the corner, or is it gonna be on
It's
the west?
closer to the corner,
That's where
next to standard insurance.
That's where the building's gonna be.
Yeah, yeah. And there would have, it's a long frontage in the back too, on Easy Street. It would have much line to put entrance there. As you see, the standard insurance, they have another entrance there also. So when people pulling into Easy Street, they would have an entrance to go into the office. And we have a big parking lot next to the doctor office that where the car would be parking. So the house would be in the front road of the loop, the office.
Is your plan to have that the front of the office building face Loop 323?
No, because the loop have the church across the street, we don't plan to face across from the church. We want the office kind of looking, lean straight to Paluxy. Because right at that corner, when you stand at that corner, you can see Paluxy and the loop.
So the
traffic
office
lights.
will
So the
face the
office is going
insurance?
to be, yeah, it's facing the insurance,
Okay.
yeah. It's going to be a little bit facing the loop, but it's not going to be directly to the church. Because I don't know if somebody else would have the same feeling, but my feeling is we don't want to face the business straight to church, just to have a respect. I want to lean it straight to that corner, like the office door would be facing the corner where the stop sign and is to the Paluxy area, like facing it to east to standard insurance.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It would just be a
what's the,
1,400 square.
I'm sorry, what's the business to the southwest?
Chiropractor.
That's the
Yeah,
chiropractor.
chiropractor's office.
Is there a possibility of a shared driveway from theirs?
We can't share the driveway because the doctor, at one time, he interested to buy that property from Miss Donna. But when Miss Donna talked to the city and she didn't know how to go about turning it into commercial zoning to allow the doctor to pull his patient through that too, so he backed out because he doesn't have enough parking lot. As you see, his parking lot is the white area in front of his office. A lot of time when I look out the window, I saw his patients have to pull into the grass area in the back of his businesses. So I thought to myself, I say, if we are allowed to open an office there, we would like to share him the parking lot so that his customer can go into, because we have a big parking lot, because if we allow 1,400 square foot building, that would leave almost 9,000 square footage for parking lot. So he can have his patient to go and park in our office parking lot. So that way he doesn't have that crowded, because a lot of time I saw patients that go in there with a big long truck. It's so hard for them to pull out, back out to the loop. So I thought to myself, it would be nice to have like joining parking lot and then we share.
Alrighty, again, thank you for your time and presence here today. Any other questions for this witness? Is that a yes, Jim?
No, no, sir.
All right, again, thank you for your time and presence. Are there other persons here who would like to speak on this item for or against? If not, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask Kyle a quick question,
Sure.
real quick, if you'll afford me. Kyle, looking at the preliminary buffer yards and setbacks on Easy Street, my feeling, and if you, maybe you could help me with this, is that their access, because of proximity to the intersection, their access is going to be all the way down out of the radius of the curve and next to the actual house. And so it seems like to me that would be kind of the access to the driveway would be more of an encroachment into the residential area than standard insurance and even the chiropractic's office. And so is that true? Is that the only place that their access could be if they don't share access with the chiropractor?
Right, so yeah, the driveway would have to be pretty much as far away from that corner, from the loop.
Yes.
As it can be. And I think it's 100 feet all the way from one end to the other there.
Okay.
There, and I'm not sure if that's even enough, but to allow a driveway for that property, it would have to be there, but it would be as far as it can be.
Which is a deviation really from the
Right.
standard insurance, because standard insurance has access on the loop and then right there on the corner. And so it would really, the driveway and the access to the commercial building would encroach into the residential area, just in my mind. Now, shared access with the chiropractor's office probably would make more sense to me, but doing that as an RPO,
No.
probably not. Probably need to be some kind of PCD or what would some kind of
So,
planned.
Yeah, it would have to be if you were to do that to restrict access to Easy Street, it would have to be a planned development, which would be probably POD or planned office. That would also necessitate that the neighbor, the chiropractor, to kind of join in on that with their property. And then also, if they were to convert part of that parking lot into shared access, he would lose some spaces there that seems like that's the minimum already. So the spaces that are lost there would have to roll into the new development.
Right.
And it could get a little tricky there. But I mean, if they kind of work through that, and see what that looks like, that'd be an option. Generally, I would say that we haven't seen, I talked about how these lots or these properties along the loop have changed over the years and which ones have changed and why. We haven't seen a subdivision of any of those properties. They've all kind of been all or nothing. So it was the home that got converted, not part of a larger lot. So this would actually be subdividing one of those corner lots to allow for a brand new development instead of, perhaps reusing one of the structures that are already there. I know the chiropractor's office, that's a new structure, but there was a loss in that structure a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
so it is a little bit different than maybe the other ones we've seen. More in a different trend though towards redevelopment or brand new development instead of reuse. So, and like you mentioned, the intrusion into the neighborhood, the Tyler First Plan does call for protecting the established residential neighborhoods from encroachment of commercial activities. So at this point, as staff said, as we noted in our recommendation, that the conditions are not present to justify that change at this time, and then also the other concerns with how the access will work. But if there was a situation where the access did not come from Easy Street and they could work through that, then that might be something the commission could consider.
Okay, thank you, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Mr. Reed. Any other questions?
No, sir.
All right, if there are no other persons, Zach, nobody online?
No, sir.
All right, if there are no other persons who wish to speak on this item, is there a motion? If there's not a motion, I'll make a motion to deny.
Commissioner Swaim, second.
Motion's been made and seconded to deny. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for your time and presence here and for your work. We just are going to have to deny this item at this time. The next item is PZ 20-057, PS of Tyler Investments LLC. Kyle?
This is a zone change request from RMF Multifamily Residential District to R1B Single Family Residential. The applicant's requesting the zone change to allow for the development of a single-family home. The properties to the northwest and the east are multifamily, or zoned for multifamily, but are developed with single-family homes and the Goodman Museum. And the properties to the west, or to the south, are zoned for light industrial uses and are developed as such. The request is consistent with the future land use guide, identifying the property as single-family and single-family attached. The applicant plans to construct a single-family home on the property. The neighborhood was previously subject to pyramid zoning, where single-family home used to be allowed in multifamily zoning, but not anymore. And therefore, the request will bring the property into conformance with the current UDC, or Unified Development Code. Of the notices that were sent to the neighbors, 0 were returned in favor and 1 in opposition, with a protest calculation of just under 5%. The neighbor did not cite a reason for their opposition. Staff would note that this would allow for the typical form of development to be allowed in this neighborhood for this property that it currently is not allowed for. And therefore, staff performed a technical review of the request and finds that it is consistent with the approval criteria, and staff recommends approval.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Any questions for Kyle? If not, I have a card, and I apologize. I'm sure that's my fault. I can't read the name. The last name is M-E-L-Y-N. It doesn't say whether, the card doesn't say whether they're for or against. The address is 601 Bodark. Is that you? Yeah. Would you come to the microphone, please, and state your name and address for the record?
Yeah, my name is, let me take my mask off, because I don't know if you can hear me. Yolanda McKenzie. We did send a letter of protest, my husband did. I represent the McKenzie brothers. We have 529 and 601 apartments on that street. We also have about 4 people here against, and we have about 10 signatures against the change on the zoning.
All right, and your reason for opposition?
We don't want the changes there. We, the multifamily, we have, I would say, 40% of all the area, they are duplexes, So the majority is duplexes and apartments. So why would you change it to a single house? And also, another thing, this letter was sent to people that don't understand English. I mean, I would say 99% of the people that live in that neighborhood, the Hispanics, and most of them don't speak or understand English. But anyway, the few that do, they're right here.
All right, any questions for this lady?
Well, I do want to ask you, again, just a single-family home where just a family would live, exactly how does that negatively impact
Well,
your apartment
what I
building?
understood is that when you move from a multifamily to a single family, the value of your property goes down on our properties. Now, I don't know, because it doesn't specify any in the papers that you send us, what in the future the city will want to do with our properties that we are multifamily. You know, we don't want any problems in the future. So, like I said, the majority have duplexes there, the majority of people. So we just worry about this change, you know, what it will come in the future for us as owners.
So your concern is not directly related to that it would be a single family, it's the impact that it may have on your and the surrounding properties?
Right. In future with the city, I don't know what they will come out with.
All right, we thank you for your time and presence here. This is the only card I have on this item. Are there other persons who would like to speak on this item for or against?
Well, they are here, but I don't know if they, you know, that fluently to speak to you in English, but they are against this.
Yeah, Your Honor, I got apartments.
Sir, I'm sorry, sir. Just state your name and address for the record, please.
Jose Molina. I got apartments over there, on Border Street, and I just got a duplex is over there, and I just kind of like wanted to be like the same. I don't want any changes or anything on the area.
Now, this is a little unusual. Normally we find people with a single-family dwelling, and then somebody wants to build a multifamily, and there's objections to that. You're going the opposite direction.
Okay.
There's multifamily, and somebody just wants to build a single-family house.
Because I was thinking that I was commercial, multifamily, and then the other one, and they wanted to bring everything to the lowest thing, you know, and
Well, this zoning only affects this one lot, which is currently vacant.
okay. So it is not going to affect to the other people around that, like, let's say,
It's not going to change. It's not going to change their zoning.
Okay, all right.
Not going to change their zoning.
And maybe Kyle, could you explain again just the existing zoning, I mean, how it fits in with the Tyler 21?
Right, so the Tyler First Comprehensive Plan does call this area, or identify this area for either single, like medium to high density, single family detached or attached homes. So townhomes or kind of your smaller urban kind of detached home style.
Duplexes?
Yeah, well, yeah, essentially it could be a 2-unit townhome or a duplex, which would be consistent with this area. And so in the past, previously, the multifamily zoning kind of covered all of that. And so this would still, would essentially allow what the plan is for the area, but it would preclude the ability to build an apartment complex. But it would still allow for the single-family uses that are currently in the area. Yeah, there we go. And so it is consistent with the plan. And like I mentioned, there appears to be some single-family homes on that street as it is. As you go further north, I think that turns more into some duplexes or some multifamily. So, does that answer your?
So just to confirm, changing this particular zoning really, this isn't some kind of thing that's going to begin to affect the neighbors. This is just
No.
something you wanted to, that the owner wants to do in their lot.
Right. So this only impact or affects or will change the conditions for the applicant's property. It will not take any rights away or any development rights from the adjacent property owners. This is a vacant property right now, so it hasn't been built on. The owner plans to start somewhere, and it's going to be a single-family home. In the downtown area, there's a lot of diversity in the housing types, so this will add to that if there are other types of homes in the area. And so generally, it's a good thing for the downtown area. Yeah.
Cal, Commissioner Reed, question, is the, is the subject property large enough for residential multifamily development as it currently stands? Because I believe that's like 10,500 or something along those lines.
Well,
I mean, I guess I'm just saying is, it's at its current rate, it's not able to be developed, and what we would be doing is making it to where it's developable.
so this is 0.12 acres. No, the minimum lot size for a multifamily lot or RMF lot is 12,500.
12,500.
Okay. 12,000, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And so, yeah, this does look to be too small for that as it is. And
Okay.
so when we talk about the ability to develop it, this really is the appropriate thing to do.
Thanks, Cal.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Mr. Reed. I hope y'all, those who are interested in this understand, this lot is too small currently for a multifamily to be built there. So the next best choice is a single-family home. And I hope that's clear to everybody. That doesn't affect any of the adjoining properties. Nobody's
Are
gonna,
they gonna build a house? I want a single house there.
yes.
I understood it says they're gonna build.
If you, I'm sorry, if you want to speak, please come to the microphone.
So they're gonna build there a house? I thought I read somewhere that it was some kind of office.
No,
It's a house.
it's a house.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Are there any other persons here who would like to speak on this item for or against? I hope we've answered everybody's questions. Zach, anybody online?
No, sir.
All right, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Reed, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Z20-057.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this zoning change from RMF to R1B. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Items approved. I hope y'all understand what's happened here today and can work with the change. Next is Z20-058, Luther and Dorothy Williams Jr. Kyle?
This is kind of a similar request, but it's a zone change from POD, Planned Office District, to R1B, Single Family. The applicant is requesting the zone change to be able to develop a single-family home. The properties to the north and south are R2, two-family, and are developed with single-family homes. The property to the east is C1, light commercial, and is developed with a single-family home. And then the property to the west is R1B, single-family, is currently undeveloped. This request would amend the future land use guide. Actually, it's consistent with the future land use guide, which is single-family and single-family attached. The applicant plans to develop a single-family home, which, as one has not been built here, that would help implement the Tyler First goal of adding more rooftops to the north end. The current property is POD, and it was a speculative change back in a few years ago, a change to allow for an office, but that didn't come to fruition. Of the notices that were sent out, 0 were returned in favor and 1 in opposition, with the protest calculation of 4.42%. The neighbor to the west filed the opposition, but they didn't state a purpose for the opposition. They just didn't want the change to occur. As I noted before, this is to allow for the development of the property in a fashion that's similar to the rest of the neighborhood. Staff has performed a technical review and finds that it is generally consistent with the approval criteria, and staff recommends approval of the zone change.
All right, thank you, Kyle. Any questions?
So Kyle, the property that's in opposition to the west is a single-family home?
It's currently undeveloped, but it is also R1B,
It
so it's
would be
the
the
same.
same. Mhm.
Right.
All right, any other questions for Kyle? I don't have any cards on this item? Are the persons here who would like to speak on this item for or against? Kyle, Zach?
No, sir.
All right, if there's no public comment, or would someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I make a motion, we approve item Z 20-058.
Second.
Mr. Swain makes a motion, and Mr. Nichols seconds. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item's approved. Next is Z 20-059, Tyler Regional Hospital LLC. Kyle?
This is a zone change request from multifamily to office, so from RMF to RPO. The request is to allow for the development, or to allow for the conforming use of a hair salon and also counseling services within the building. The property has been previously used as a office building. It's one of those where the multifamily zoning used to allow for office uses, and now the applicant wants to continue that use, but also rezone to be compliant with the zoning requirements. And so the properties to the north, south, and east are zoned multifamily. To the north and east are developed with a single-family home, and the properties to the south are currently undeveloped. The property to the west is zoned RPO, Restricted Professional Office District, and is currently developed with an office. This request would amend the future land use guide from single-family, medium-low density to office. Like I mentioned, the applicant plans to utilize the property for office uses as it previously was used. I think in the past it was used for a medical clinic of some sort, and the property does have parking at the rear of the property on the north side. Of the notices that we sent out, we didn't receive any in favor, but we did receive a number in opposition to the request, for a total protest calculation of 25.92%, as you can see here, the neighbors to the south and then to the northwest. Generally, the concern was related to providing enough off-street parking for the use. That there was concern about the street being used for parking. We mentioned that the property will have to have a minimum number of off-street parking spaces. There's a slide here that shows that they do have 8 dedicated spaces, and that I believe when we did the calculation for the structure based off the proposed uses, they needed 7 spaces, so they have 1 more than they need. Regardless of the use, at any time there's a minimum requirement of 4 spaces. So to address some of the concerns that the property owner, the business will always be required to maintain the required number of parking spaces. And so if they cannot do that, which it appears that they can do that in this case, they will they have the ability to receive or to partner with another property owner and do a off-site parking agreement. And so it doesn't look like they'll need it for these uses, but in the future they might have to do that. So with that being said, since we did have a protest calculation of over 20%, 3/4 of the city council will be required to approve the item. Staff has performed a technical review of the request and finds that is generally consistent with the approval criteria, and staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Kyle. I saw just briefly the parking situation flashed on our screen and it disappeared.
Yeah.
Could we see that again, please?
Heather had something to do with it.
Yeah, and there was a young woman who appeared too. I don't know who it was, but she, we could see.
They're working. Yeah, I think they're working on it.
I mean, we've all seen it. We've all seen it in person, but you can show the picture.
So Kyle, Commissioner Reed, so it seems like that the protest is based upon an existing parking issue for the entire area.
Right.
And not really centrally located or pointed towards this particular property. It's just that it's being exacerbated by
Yeah.
giving notice. Is that, would that be?
Yeah, a
is
little,
that
a
right
little bit
or
of both, I
wrong?
think. I think the
Okay.
previous use, it was a medical office, and therefore that's a little bit more intense in terms of parking requirements. And so it might have been the case where there was some overflow parking on the street, which would not, if that was an issue, then we could have intervened and helped the owner find some other parking spaces for their clients. But, so I think that was, I think that was the issue that's been brought up, but I would say that the proposed uses from the applicant here are less intense related to parking, so.
Okay. And if we choose to deny, then they'll have to cease business?
Right. Yeah,
Is that correct?
If it was denied, then it would revert back to the multifamily
Yeah,
use or.
RMF, and
Right.
so no business.
Right, that's right.
Okay.
So we're not gonna see that parking picture. I mean, you're seeing there's a
I
young
hope we
woman
do.
who keeps appearing. But
Can't control this.
that's okay, Kyle. We'll pass. Are there any, I have a card here from Arlene Gregg. Miss Gregg, would you like to speak? If you would, please come to the microphone and state your name and address. Thank you.
My
You've
name
got
is
the
Arlene
picture.
Gregg, and I live at 15139 East Ridge Road in ARP.
Are you the applicant? Are you the one wants this change?
Correct. Correct.
All right. You want to tell us, there it is, there's
Yeah.
the screen. Can you,
I'm not a full salon. I work by myself. I have an assistant and a couple assistants. I do health, wellness, beauty, relaxation, anti-anxiety, anti-stress, which has just been, something we've all had lately. So I work with life coaching. So I need some different office spaces, one for facials, one for each different room that I need to go to. So I don't believe we'll have large parking. It's myself. I don't, work with a lot of people, so I'm not going to have staff that are doing hair. It's just, this is my retirement job.
So how many people do you usually have, like, when you're,
When I'm doing
Yeah.
my services, I'll have one at a time. And then I have support services, so I have a shopkeeper who will do whatever she needs to do to help people if they come in, or assist them at retail. I mean, it's not a big business like I left in Virginia.
all right, any questions for Ms. Gregg? We appreciate your, yes.
And one more thing, I've gotten bids and estimates on how to renovate the property because it's in poor shape right now. The roof is coming apart. I won't go into that, but Blackstone Paving gave me a verbal that when I redo, or if I did get it and did the parking lot, it's about $16,000 to fix that parking lot and the flood and everything in there. But he said we could get 10 parking spaces back there. This was done by my real estate agent because Bob was out of town, so.
Well, Kyle tells us that 7 is what's required, and we've got 8, so,
Yeah, I don't want to ruin the neighborhood. I want to get out of a busy, noisy office and get somewhere where it's quiet. So that's what I'm hoping for.
well, again, thank you for your time and presence.
Thank you for-
Any questions for Ms. Gregg?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Are there other persons here who would like to speak on this item for or against? Zach, anybody?
Yes, sir, we do have a couple callers.
All right, let's hear those.
Okay, caller, can you hear us? Caller, can you hear us? Caller, can you hear us? Sorry, just 1 second. Caller, can you hear us? Caller, can you hear us? Are you able to hear us? Caller, can you hear us? Sorry, one moment, please.
Zach, is this just a technological difficulty, or are these
Yes,
people
sir.
no longer available?
Yes, sir, it's just a technological. Caller, can you hear us? Okay. Thanks. Okay, caller, can you hear us?
Hear you.
Okay, caller, you can hear us? Caller?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you.
If the caller, this is David Hudson, I'm the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. If you'd like to speak on this item, we're here to hear your comments. If you'd state your name and address for the record, please.
If you'd like to speak on this item, we're here to
Yeah, I'm trying to.
name and address for the record.
Okay. My name is Joe Griffin. My address is 406 East Houston Street. Yeah, I'm trying to.
And caller, could you please mute the background?
Joe Griffin. My address is 406 East Houston Street. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Caller,
He needs to turn off his Facebook.
Joe Griffin. My address is 4.
Hey
Okay.
Joe, could you mute your Facebook while you're on the call?
I'm sorry?
Okay, thank you.
Well, can y'all hear me, guys?
Okay, do you have any questions for the commissioners, Joe?
Yes, the question I have is, when y'all sent this out, you say the application is from Tyler Regional Hospital LLC, and you are turning this into a salon. To me, this lady's buying the property, and not Tyler LLC, and when you say a salon, that's a very vague term. I mean, I do appreciate the lady that came through and kind of explained what kind of business she was going to have in there, but as far as those paperwork, not real clean.
Well, the name of the application is the current owner, and that's normally the way the procedure works, because in order for this lady to use the property, it has to have this zoning change. And so that's the way it procedurally works.
Okay, I'll buy that. But the term salon, now it's gone from a hair salon to a therapy salon. You know, it's a real vague term, folks. I mean, it could be a massage salon for all I know, or, you know, that's just a real vague term, salon.
Well, the applicant was here. I don't know if you were able to hear. She stated the kinds of services that she was going to provide. Did you hear those comments?
Yes, I did, and I was very appreciative of her comments, and that clarified a whole lot of things for me. I just wanted to, let y'all know that, hey, when you do your paperwork in the future, you might want to give as much information to the public as you possibly can.
And we thank you for your comments, and that's the reason that we're here today, is to share information with whoever is concerned with this application. And commissioners have any questions for this gentleman? If not, we thank you for your time and presence. We apologize for the technology, but that's the way, the world that we live in right now. So thank you for being willing to come forward.
Not a problem. Y'all have a good evening.
Thank you. All right, Zach, is there anybody else?
Yes, sir. We have one more caller.
Okay.
Okay, caller, can you hear us?
I can.
Would you, this is David Hudson. I'm the chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Would you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, David Kessler at 627 South Fannin.
All right, and you're here to speak on this zoning change?
Yes, I was one of the signatures on the protest or petition. We've got 3 properties in the 200-foot buffer area, and it is a real problem of parking in this area, and any extra pressure is not appreciated. I mean, with what's gone on at the corner hospital clinic thing, where apparently they have tried to empty their own parking lot of employees and have them park on the street, which is right down Fannin, and has really caused problems. I mean, this is Fannin, Charnwood, Donnybrook, Houston right in here is like a racetrack. And we don't need, we need some relief from the parking. Now, while appreciating what the lady that wants to buy this property said, if she has her and 2 or 3 employees, that leaves enough room for, 4 people. In the application, I think it said it could have a doctor also come into the building, which would be, several more. I think that there's hardly any way to get around dumping parking onto the street. I know the Woods, who own the property just south across the street from this property, while they put up chains to try to keep people from just pulling in onto the grass that they have, people knock them down, take them down, and it's a real problem. And we would hope that the city would not exacerbate that problem by having even more commercial. And the fact that there are on this block, there are a couple of RPOs already, but this is one of the most historic parts of town, and we would prefer to see it stay residential.
All right, commissioners, any questions for this witness? If not, we thank you for your time and presence, and I believe we've been assured that there's not going to be an MD or a doctor on the property. If that makes any difference, your concern appears to be parking primarily.
Parking and I echo what Joe said. Salon could be hair, nail, tattoo. It raised a lot of questions that could have been maybe ameliorated by a little more explanation.
All right, I think if were you able to hear the applicant to describe the kind of services that she was proposing?
Yes. However, I wouldn't say that I was particularly necessarily happy with all of the things that might go on, but there's probably more explanation there that, that could have been given. But just in general, we would like to keep it more in the character of this neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you for your time and presence and your comments. We appreciate those. That's why we're here. All right, Zach, is there another call?
No, sir.
That's all the calls?
Yes, sir.
Anybody present I know the answer, anybody present who'd like to speak on this item for or against? If not, commissioners, any questions for staff or someone like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Reed, I think that, just looking at this aerial, this aerial here, it appears that it's consistent, and there's enough parking spaces for the particular use, and so with that, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Z20-059.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this item, and I'm sure commissioners spent some of the time since our last meeting going to these locations in person, and so you've seen what this looks like in terms of the availability of, besides the picture, the availability of space. So the motion's been made and seconded to approve this item. Any comments? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item's approved. That's the last zoning item. That brings us down to plats. Kyle?
All right. The first plat we have is a 4-lot subdivision containing approximately 0.44 acres of land. This is at the northeast intersection of, or near the northeast intersection of Connolly Street and South Gaston Avenue. The property is currently zoned R1D, single family attached and detached. The purpose of the plat is to subdivide these 2 lots into 4 lots, as you can see here. And the reason it's on the agenda today is because it is a replat of a residential lot, which requires a public hearing. And so notice was provided to the neighbors within 200 feet that are within the original subdivision. All comments have been addressed with this plat, and staff recommends approval.
Are the persons here who'd like to speak on this plat for or against? If not, Mr. Reed.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Reed, I'd like to make a motion that we approve F20-105.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this plat. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is P20-017, Rolling Meadows Subdivision Preliminary Plat. Kyle?
This is a plan for a 116-lot subdivision containing approximately 33.75 acres. This is located along Van Highway, just west of County Road 4167. The property is currently located in Zone 2 of the Tyler ETJ. Purpose of the plat is to plan for 116 lots. The applicant has submitted a variance to the requirement to provide stub out streets to the east and west. Looking at the aerial of the property, those adjacent properties are all developed, and therefore providing a street stub to those would not be utilized in the future, and so a variance can be supported for that. The applicant has also, during the review of the plat, there was some questions about or comments about the site visibility from the street that intersects with Van Highway. The plat is turned to the right there, and there's a street there that is the main point of access. It would be a boulevard entrance because the subdivision has over 60 lots right there, and so the there was comments about the site visibility coming around the curve on Van Highway. I believe the applicant is on the phone, and I think they did some additional, we asked them to verify that the drive, or where the street comes out, there is enough visibility there. And so if he's on the phone, if he could address that. That was one of the outstanding comments that we had, and so if he can verify that, then we're good.
Exactly, somewhere in line.
Yes, sir. Okay, caller, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. This is William Spencer with MHS Planning and Design. Just calling to answer any questions. As I was getting transferred in, I was listening to Kyle speak, and he did a wonderful job presenting. In our communication this morning, as he was talking about the site distances for the intersection, I've sent some information to him. We have verified the traffic counts for the subdivision will not require a TIA per the UDC requirement. We've checked the peak traffic flows. We've also checked the daily trip calculator, and it's both under the requirements for a TIA, and we've verified the site distances for the intersection that's specified onto State Highway 110. We have in excess of 500 feet of site distance, and the requirement is 465. So those were the only questions that I heard at this point in time. Does anybody on the planning, zoning, or city staff have comments or questions for me at this point in time?
All right, thank you, Mr. Mr. Spencer. Mr. Staff, or have any other comments? Or?
No, we don't. And so the engineer has verified the site distance does comply. That typically would come up again when the street construction goes in, that they also check that at that point, and if there's an issue with that, they would have to reassess the development. So knowing that, staff recommends approval of the plat.
All right, any questions, commissioners? Any person here would like to speak on this item for or against? If not, if there is a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve P20-017.
Commissioner Reed, second.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve this plat. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is P20-018 Oak Springs preliminary plat. Kyle.
This is a plan for a 326 lot subdivision. This is approximately 99.56 acres. This is south of County Road 178 and Old New Day Road, between Jonestown Road and Mahar Road. The property is currently in Zone 2 of the Tyler ETJ. The purpose of the plat is to revise the previous preliminary plat that was in existence. Most notably, the change does reflect the change on the west side of the property to establish private streets. Those would be gated private streets, and therefore there's no requirement to continue the streets to the south. And therefore, there was previously a stub street there, or a stub out street that would be continued, but they have changed that to be private, changed those to be private. The applicant also amended the proposed stub street on the east side that's going to the south, and one of the reasons for that was there is a floodplain down through there. And the property is actually developed with a home in a large estate, and so the likelihood that would be continued to the south is unlikely. So with that being said, staff has reviewed the plat and recommends approval.
Thank you, Kyle. Any questions for Kyle? Any person here would like to speak on this item for or against? If not, is there a motion? Mr.
Kyle, sorry, real quick. Kyle, is this in connection, or does this have any kind of connection to the, what last month we talked about?
It does, yes. This was
okay.
The plat that was forthcoming.
That was forthcoming.
Right.
And this is coming to fruition,
right.
what we had anticipated.
Right.
Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay, all right, thanks. I yield.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Nichols, recommend approval of P 20-018.
Is there a
Commissioner
second?
Reed, second.
Mr. Reed, any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposition? Item's approved. F20-0173 Oak Springs Edition, Unit 1, Kyle.
This is a 16-lot subdivision. This is approximately 3 acres. This is along Mahar Road and close to Cross Lake Boulevard. This is the first phase of the Oak Springs, and the purpose is to create 16 lots with a private street on one portion of it. All comments have been addressed, and staff recommends approval.
Questions for city staff? Any persons here who'd like to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Reed, I'd like to make a motion that we approve F20-173.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Plat's approved. Next is F20-174 South Bend Creek Phase 1, Fifth Amendment.
This is a 7-lot subdivision located south of McClenny Drive and Garrett Drive. The property is currently zoned R2 two-family. The purpose of the plat is to subdivide these 2 lots into 7 lots, which was the original plan in the past for this Garrett Drive to continue to the east. This plat required public notice in a public hearing today because it was re-subdividing residential lots. And therefore, we did provide notice to the neighbors within 200 feet and within the original subdivision. All comments on the plat have been addressed, and staff recommends approval.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Kyle? Any person who'd like to speak on this item? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion, we approve item F20-174.
Motion's been made, and is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Plat's approved. Next, we have 3 item plats in a consent group. P20-1-016 Montgomery Heights preliminary plat. F20-170 Monterey Heights final plat, and F20-171 Cottage Park Unit 1 final plat. Kyle, all the city requirements have been met, and these are consent
That's right.
items. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Any discussion? Any person here who'd like to speak? All those, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I recommend that we approve the consent plats Group A.
Mr. Nichols makes a motion to approve these. Mr. Swain seconds the motion. For all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? They're approved. Next is a consent construction plans, Group A, IR 20-035 Cottage Park Edition, Unit 1. Kyle, all city comments have been made, and the city staff's recommendation is to approve.
Actually, for these ones, there are some technical issues related to this plan, and therefore staff recommends denial.
All right, thank you. Any comments? Any person here wishes to speak? Is there a motion to deny?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we deny consent construction plans Group A.
Commissioner Reed, second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor of denying this consent construction item, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we're in recess for just a minute so that we can move on to our workshop. Kyle, are you ready for that?
I'm ready.
Okay.
Hi, Heather.
Heather, you just keep popping up.
I think Michael's having issues with his PowerPoint. I think that's what's going on. Shall I just continue and get to it?
Minutes up.
Nope,
Yeah,
here we go.
ahead.
All right. The first item is a zone change request, very similar to the one we had today on Britton Avenue, from R1A to